So we're gonna make a resilient blend based on our tea. The only thing different with that and what we have is we've added in some sea vegetables. So, oh yeah, I wanted to fish out these ginsengs. Okay, we're gonna start off by making this into a nut milk. And I'm gonna take these ginsengs and put them in my nut milk. Because I know there's more in those ginsengs. You can always get a little more out of ginsengs. And it's kind of expensive, and I really want to get the maximum out of the ginseng. So we're going to turn that into a nut milk. In this case, we're going to use Brazil nuts because they're quite protective. And they got that selenium content. We're going to use pumpkin seeds because, again, high zinc. If you could coat your entire body with zinc, you would be impenetrable. You know, in that sense, you'd be just ultimate protection. Zinc's great for the endocrine glands, especially the thyroid. We need a zinc-copper ratio for the thyroid, a little bit of copper to a whole bunch of zinc. It's a great sort of protection to it, as well as iodine, of course. If you have good iodine, which we're getting out of the seaweeds, you're not going to uptake bad iodine. Your body will always take the upgrade. If you have the upgrade, you won't take in the downgrade. Okay, we'll put a few more. We want to make this one potent, so we'll put a few more of these Brazil nuts in there. I'm also going to use pine nuts. Pine nuts, awesome. We're going to use pine nuts in this one. And the benefit of pine nuts is they're just, well, one, they're really rich and creamy. They're going to make this pretty creamy, but they also have that sort of strong building energy, and we want to be protected building. So we'll put a few pine nuts in, not a ton. And then I'm going to put some milk thistle seeds in here. I don't think milk thistle seeds are in the recipe, but write them in. Liver protective, again, something we want to be working with. Milk thistle seeds are great in nut milks, easy to use, and just a nice addition. A teaspoon is great. Yeah, a teaspoon of milk thistle seeds. Probably I would make mostly Brazil nut. Say I would go like 3 parts Brazil nut, 1 part pumpkin seeds, 1 part pine nuts, and half a part milk thistle seed, or maybe even a full part milk thistle seed. So, okay, there we go. Same as before. I don't want to fill the blender to make my nut milk. I just want to go halfway up. I know the front row, you guys get that loud Vitamix sound. Sorry about that, but just as you can see, oh, it's just amazing to me. It always amazes me how this tea just turns into this frothy milk. It doesn't take very long to do that. Okay. So here we go. We're gonna just create that milk again. Making our nut milk. As well as, we're gonna make this pretty easy to drink so that it gets into the body, but you could turn this into, you could put more body into this. You could make this more like a meal. You could do like the soup, make it cold, add in some like full like shiitakes and maitake mushrooms, add in more greens, more sea vegetables, miso, all that kind of stuff to sort of thicken it out. But we're gonna make a drink, an elixir in this sense. So, and we got some fun ingredients to put in this. First one I want to talk about is the zeolite clay. Some of you know about bentonite clay, some of you know about diatomaceous earth. Those are all great ones too for pulling out toxicity. But zeolites, you have to be really careful. There are some really cheap zeolites on the market. In fact, they use them for golf courses and lawns to help as a fertilizer to up-channel minerals. And so those ones though, they're way too, they have byproducts in them, plus they're much bigger molecules, and they're actually toxic, and they're really hard on the body. So be really careful when you're buying zeolites to make sure you get a premium activated zeolite. Should say like activated premium zeolite. Also, you can tell like by how fine the powder is. Now it's hard if it's in a glass jar or something like that. You can't really tell. But I put in that much zeolite, at the most. But if I were to do bentonite clay, I might go with probably say that much kind of the clay. And I really would suggest if you're doing diatomaceous earth or bentonite clay that you just mix it with water and slug it back real quick. Don't bother trying to blend it into a drink like this. It's just not as good that way. Other one I told you I'd talk to you about a little bit later. Oh, well, I guess I'll tell you why zeolite. So zeolite has an ionic exchange that it does in the body where it exchanges electromagnetically with, it takes negative ions and pulls out these positive ion, gram-positive ion substances. So it's actually really good at pulling out more toxicities in that way and exchanging bad minerals, good minerals, working in that sense. So for things like radiation, that's usually positively charged, and it's going to pull that out of the body and into the, it's going to bind to it, and it'll come out through our bowels. We're not actually absorbing the zeolite, we're binding toxins to it, and it's flowing right through us. Shilajit. Shilajit is another one, a mineral pitch out of the Andes Mountains. And there's a little bit of, or Himalaya Mountains, sorry. A little bit of debate on this. I actually think, anyway, the story goes that monkeys were eating this stuff, scraping it off the rocks, and they were like, wow, the Ayurvedic practitioners were like, wow, what are these monkeys doing? They're scraping all this stuff off the rocks. And there are these big, vigorous, strong monkeys. Must be good. They've traveled miles to come scrape this stuff off the rocks. So they started mimicking the monkeys, as all good humans do. And they found that this stuff actually really helped almost anybody who had a health issue that they couldn't get to the bottom of it. When it was like, they tried all their herbs and nothing was working, they would give them Shilajit and it would just start to reinvigorate them, nurturify the body and build up the strength. So it's also known as rock warrior, which is like that sort of robust, strong warrior of the rocks. And what it has in it is something called fulvic acid, and that's not folic, but fulvic acid. And it's probably one of the best substances for pulling out toxicity, and especially in heavy metals and radioactive isotopes and that type of thing. But it also goes really deep into the cellular beds of the body. So it goes into our more dense organ systems and fat areas where we would hold all this kind of toxicity. So it gets right to the deepest parts of our body and pulls that type of stuff out. So again, mineral pitch. You don't want to take a ton of it. There is potential to have other toxic things in it because it is ecosystems, and whatever didn't break down in that ecosystem is still in here. So, you know, again, with a grain of dulse, just a little bit. Maca. We're gonna add in some maca. It's another one of these things that has that ability to pull out toxicity and give us some more energy, work with protecting our endocrine glands. Healthy amount of maca is that. Extra healthy amount of maca is that. Greens. Greens are awesome. Greens are definitely one of your resilient diet add-ins that you want to do. And so again, I'm going to go with their green power blend, which is the Spirulina, Chlorella, Moringa, wheatgrass, and alfalfa. A little hint of stevia. Especially Spirulina and Chlorella. Those really pull out toxins. Now, Chlorella has been commonly known to be one of the best things for heavy metals. And so that's really, so put in a scoop and a half of that. Coconut oil. I'm going to add in a couple, like 1 tablespoon of this. Very protective for the thyroid, very protective for all the endocrine glands. So we want to add a little bit of that good oils. This has that MCT oil in it. So this is just medium chain triglycerides for all those that don't know abbreviations. So Irish moss. Is anybody familiar with this stuff? You've seen this stuff before? This is basically, you've probably eaten this seaweed more than you know. It's in almost every ice cream, it's in a lot of toothpaste, it's in all kinds of substances like that, in the form of carrageenan. And that's this gel. This Irish moss is the highest of that that we know of. So that's this. And I've just basically soaked this down. It's got that sodium alginate, and that is one of the best things in the kelps. That's the main thing that pulls out toxicity and sucks up and binds to radioactive waste and all these kind of like pollution. And it's not just for radiation, but like, you know, carbon monoxide toxicity from our, you know, cars, sucks up and pulls out toxins. It also thickens our drinks. So it's a nice way to thicken a drink. A jar like this, once you've made it, like we're gonna use a scoop. I'm gonna, just for the sake, because I have all of this, I'm gonna use a scoop and a half, maybe 2. Especially in that case. And then the other things are medicinal mushrooms. So with that, I'm gonna add in some of our 6 mushroom blend. I'll put into an elixir like this. Probably a good teaspoon. A little Camu. That Camu berry, as I was saying, was highly protective to the body. Plus when we're adding in medicinal mushrooms, a little bit of vitamin C goes a long way. It actually helps to pull them into the body deeper and make them more bioavailable. So don't need much Camu. Just a little drop of it there. And then the last ingredient I'll put into this will be a tincture that we've made, Radio Protec, which has some of the same ingredients that are in the tea, but when we start to do a tincture, we're then pulling out those alcohol-soluble compounds, which are different from the hot water-soluble compounds. So, okay, Radio Protec is what it's called, this tincture, and it's awesome. I really like this one. The ginsengs in it are really nice. Adding in medicinal mushrooms and seaweeds together, I just think are like a match made in heaven. Mushrooms and seaweeds are like, I'll add in a couple of squirts of that. I want this to be protective, potent, awesome. So I've got a propolis honey. Propolis is another one that's going to protect us. It's amazing what propolis does. And I might even, you know what, let's go for it. Because we're here and I have it, a little bit of propolis tincture we'll just drop in there too. So propolis is the bees' way of protecting their hive, right? It's all the resins off of the trees. So they use resins to pull in and create the propolis, and it's their immune system for the protecting of their hive. So this is a honey that's been infused with propolis. They sell it downstairs. We sell it too. It's great. Wow. A little bit expensive, but highly worth it. Okay, you know what? I'm changing my mind. I'm gonna go with a scoop of that and a scoop of the other honey, because I'm gonna add a little propolis drop in it and don't want that to be the most overpowering flavor. And I know that those Brazilian jungle bees have some serious immune protecting stuff too going on. So, okay. Here we go. There we go. And yeah, that'll be that. Again, Vancouver Island bees, beautiful bees, and their propolis. Add that in. Voila! All we need to do is top this up with a bit more liquid. Okay. Oh, pinch of salt. Well, we got the Shilajit in there. Wow.
So how often would you drink this now?
I would probably drink this. You know, it depends. If I'm concerned, I might make something along this line every day. Otherwise, I might make this a once a week kind of my radiation protection. So, yeah. See, that's the thing, is you want this to still taste good, even though you're putting all these like really wild things in here that are protective of the body. Part of the compliance is making sure that it's still yummy and still awesome flavored. So I'm gonna take a good dose of this and then pass you guys out.